Imagine waking up, no smartphones for instant purchases, just coffee brewing and the newspaper ready for coupon clipping. Families gather to plan the day, envelopes are ready to manage each dollar, store trips where you stick to a list, and dinners almost always homemade. Every purchase was intentional, every dollar stretched, and spending was a shared responsibility. Hi everybody, my name is Sarah. Thank you so much for joining me today. If you don't know me, I'm the owner of FrozenPennies.com. I'm a financial coach, and as a family, we are debt-free. Back then, family finances were all about mindful spending and shared goals. Every purchase had a purpose. Every dollar had a job, and managing money was a family effort. Today, we're taking a look at those spending habits, simply yet powerful practices that kept families connected and financially grounded. So what are some of these traditional family spending habits that us money managers and the rest of the frugally stuck community would love to see come back in fashion again? Let's start with budgeting envelopes. Now, yes, I'm talking about a cash-only system here. I'm not talking about a cash system that you use cash for everything. However, if that works for you, I say go for it. That is the one thing that I owe completely to us getting out of debt, is using a cash-only budgeting system. But you can consider using cash only for those areas that you tend to overspend in, like groceries or dining out or beauty or entertainment. This is a tactile method of spending that they used to use way back in the day before debit cards and credit cards existed. Let's talk about family budgeting meetings. It's super important if you have a family, not only a spouse or a partner, but children also, to have a meeting, a sit-down meeting, and teach your children, young or adult children still living in the house, what your budget looks like. So they understand not only that there's a dollar assigned to every category, but they understand how to create a budget. I know for me growing up, I was frugal. My mom was frugal, but my mom never had a budget. She always said she was able to keep everything up in her head. I can't do that. Unfortunately, I never learned to manage money, which is how I got myself in hot water in my 20s. Had she brought me in and sat me down and showed me her budget, what her finances looked like, what the expenses looked like, and how she was able to manipulate and maneuver the numbers to make it work best for our family, I may have learned a few lessons from that and been able to carry that into adulthood. Saving for big purchases. Instead of instant gratification, throwing that credit card down on the counter and buying that brand new 88-inch TV, why not go back to saving the money that you might need in order to purchase that big 88-inch TV? Coupon clipping. I know that this is not a thing for most people anymore, the physical coupons. Sitting down on Sunday afternoons and going through the coupons, clipping, going through the sales flyer, matching the coupon to the sale. I would love to see that come back into style again. Maybe it's just my 1980s nostalgia creeping back in, but I have fond memories of doing that, and I have great memories of my mom saving a lot of money on groceries by using paper coupons. Homemade meals. Prioritizing home-cooked, healthy meals instead of delivery, takeout, and going out to eat as often. Not only does homemade meals save you money, it also is just better for your health. You know what's going in there, you know the ingredients in that casserole, and you're going to save money by eating at home. Hand-me-downs. I think hand-me-downs are fantastic. When my oldest was small, a coworker of my husband had a boy a little bit older. We got bags and bags full of clothes from them. I didn't buy clothes for my son for years. As a matter of fact, they then went to my younger son when he was little. I didn't have to buy clothes for him either. Repairing over replacing. This is definitely an old-fashioned tip from yesterday. Instead of replacing those socks, they darned and repaired them. Instead of getting rid of that coffee mug that the handle just broke off of, why not super glue it back together and continue using it? I heard someone say, a house is not a home unless you have multiple items glued back together. DIY home projects. Tackling those home projects and fixes as a family. In our house, it's a family thing. Not so much for me, but for my husband and my youngest son. As a matter of fact, they just came in because they're working on the barn out back before the winter comes so they can get that finished up. They're doing it together because it's my son's day off from work. Grocery lists. Sticking to a grocery list. Preparing the grocery list ahead of time so you know the things that you're out of and the things that you need. Because the best way to know what you needed to buy at the grocery store is coming home from the grocery store. Make sure you're checking your freezer, your refrigerator, your pantry, and the rest of your cupboards while you're making that grocery list so you don't buy what you already have. Gardening for food. I have a friend in Canada who gardens all year round with this system that she created. My mom is an amazing master gardener. She eats from her garden all year round. Now, these are hobbies for both of them that actually will pay dividends by being able to produce their own food. However, it's going to end up cheaper for them in the long run once their initial investment is set. They'll be able to use these investments that they've made all year long, year after year, in order to eat food. Seasonal shopping could mean anything from buying the foods that are local and in season to buying in-season clothing on sale. This time of year is a great time to look for those clearance summer stuff from last year for next summer. Cash-only shopping. This tip is directly related to that very first budgeting envelopes tip that I shared at the beginning of this video. However, cash-only shopping allows you to barter a little bit. Sometimes you can get a deal if you're shopping bigger box stores, but other times you can get a deal at smaller places. Smaller stores, privately owned stores. It also works great if you're a garage sale enthusiast. You can use cash only at garage sales because most garage sales only allow cash, but you can negotiate the prices. Also, many restaurants now are charging people a surcharge if they use a card to cash out their bill. They're tired of absorbing those charges on their own, so they're now passing on the charge to their customers. So, if you're going into a restaurant, paying cash will save you money. Now, I understand there's a little bit of a conflict here because there are a lot of places that aren't accepting cash. I encourage you to find those places that not only accept cash, but they welcome the cash instead of the cards and maybe give your business to them instead. Shared family goals. This is a great concept. Bring your family together to come up with a financial goal, whether it be a certain amount of money for saving to pay off debt or a certain amount of saving to go on vacation. Getting everybody together for those shared financial goals will help to alleviate some of the pushback that you might see from spouses or children. If you all have the same goal in mind, it does help when it's time to say buy that expensive cereal at the grocery store and you say to your son, not in the budget, remember, we're saving for Disney. That will really help the pushback in the middle of the grocery store. A zero waste mindset. I love this. That means you do your darndest to not throw things away, specifically in the food department, specifically in the refrigerator. So if you know that you have a little bit of chicken left, you need to do something with it. You need to either eat it, throw it in a soup, throw it in a casserole, or throw it in the freezer for a later time, as long as you don't throw it in the garbage. Community borrowing. This is an old tradition that a lot of small town local communities, local neighborhoods used to practice. If your lawnmower broke and you needed to mow your lawn, you just borrow your neighbor's. If the tree fell down in the backyard and you need a chainsaw, you borrow from the guy across the street. If you needed a cup of sugar and you were out and you really wanted to bake that cake, you'd go next door and ask for a cup of sugar. Simple holiday celebrations. Not over-the-top, extravagant, 40,000 blow-up things in your front yard to celebrate Halloween. Simple Halloween, simple fall decorations, outdoor pieces, natural elements to celebrate the fall. This also goes for other holidays. How many people do we know that go well over the top for Christmas? Even Easter. I have found that Easter baskets and Easter gifts for kids have grown substantially. I used to get a small basket with maybe a stuffed animal, a few pieces of chocolate, maybe some art supplies, and that was about it. Clothesline drying. Can we get any more old-fashioned than clothesline drying your clothes? Ugh. It's so unfortunate that so many HOAs around us don't allow clotheslines. It's a terrible shame. Talk about going back to simple traditions. There's nothing like the smell of sheets hung on the line. Homemade gifts, baking some muffins, sewing some pillowcases, crafting a wreath for somebody's front door, instead of going into the store and buying something for somebody that they probably don't need anyway. Secondhand shopping. I am so excited because next week I get to go visit my mama and we are going thrifting. I get to go once a year to her house because she has the best thrift stores around her. I love going there. I'm already planning on getting a few pieces for my closet as well as looking for plant stands, go figure, and some shelving units. Garage sales and secondhand stores are a great place to get furniture as well. I highly encourage you, before you shop for something brand new, like table and chairs or a dresser, you look for used first because it's probably going to be better quality. Walk or bike instead of drive. Now this really is dependent on where you live. If I wanted to walk to, say, the pharmacy to pick up my meds or some Tylenol, I could probably do that. If I wanted to walk to the bank, it would be a little bit further, but I could do it. It's a little bit harder for me to walk to get groceries because I don't have a good quality grocery store near me, and it takes me 20 minutes to drive to a good quality grocery store. But if you live in a community that everything is in walking distance or biking, I highly encourage you to give it a try. Big Sunday meals and Sunday meal prepping. There was a time when I was younger, my mom would always have a big Sunday midday meal. Instead of a Sunday evening, we would go to church, we would come home, we would have our big Sunday meal, and she would prep things for the entire week. So while she had the oven going for this big Sunday meal, she would also be cooking muffins for the week. She might also be cooking a chicken to pull apart for chicken salads or soups for later on. She would do multiple things on Sundays to prepare for the week ahead. Frugal Entertainment. Things like playing cards with friends, putting a puzzle together, or family game night. What a wonderful concept to come together and be social and have fun on a very low budget. One of my favorites, library visits. Libraries now not only have books, but they also have DVDs and games and puzzles and so many other things that you can borrow. Now we're all a little bit spoiled because we can go on our devices, our Kindles, our phones, our iPads, and download the Libby app and get books delivered right to our devices. Gone are the days of actually walking into the library for a lot of us, chatting with the librarian, and picking up a bag full of actual books. I miss that. I love that. Bartering skills. This is something that I still love to practice. I make a mean lasagna. My friend can sew a pair of pants lickety-split. I would much rather have her hem my pants and make her a lasagna, barter our services so she has a great meal for her family, and I, in my 5'2" 3/4" self, get my pants hemmed. Teaching kids about money. I touched on this with family financial meetings earlier in the list, but this to me is so important. Not only are you teaching your children how to be frugal and spending money where they value most, but actually teaching them how to manage their money is so much more important. Allow them the opportunity to understand where their money needs to go, how much they need to have coming in. Just because they can afford the monthly payment on something doesn't mean that they can actually afford it. This is super important. Reflecting on these old-fashioned habits brings a sense of nostalgia for simpler times, when family values guided every dollar spent. It reminds us that even today, we can embrace some of these practices to bring purpose back into our spending. If you want more old-fashioned frugal living tips, check out this video next.